It is the starting match of the W3Champions Season 11 Season End Finals. Lucy versus Fly, best of 3. That means, of course, first to 2 winner challenges colorful. And the cast, I think, goes directly to you guys. Carson and Remo dual cast.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I'm sure this one is going to be wonderful, Carson, and I am not rusty in the slightest. We're going to get into this one, and it seems like the fates and the gods of Warcraft 3 have perfectly predetermined us to be destined here because we are Undead and Orc players. Perfectly fitting in this Undead and Orc matchup. Lucy in the bottom left playing an old school fast fiend build. Now, would you look at that against Fly's Farseer Headhunter build?
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I know it's been a few weeks for you, but not a ton has changed, particularly in this matchup. It has, still stayed pretty standard. Most players, of course, are still playing that ghoul build that you just hinted towards, but Lucy is playing something that used to be considered perhaps the strongest build order on this map and against the Farseer Headhunters, which is Fast Fiends. I still don't think it's too bad. Maybe not as good as the ghouls, of course, that Happy and 120 prefer to play currently, but, it'll work out if Lucy can get some creeping done in the early game.
Yeah, I feel like the first couple of minutes, 2 or 3, or rather 4 to 5, can already be crucial because what the Farseer is doing is going to make a big difference. I think you talked about this before when you were discussing with Hitman considering this build, the Fast Fiend build. If the Orc knows this is happening, normally you don't want to be aggressive. Because 2 Fiends are out right away, it's easier to deal with the Wolf. What you would like to do instead is be creeping right away, in which case the Undead can be in trouble, because the Farseer might be able to get level 3 very fast. So, for that reason, I think the build for Lucy is working out pretty well, because the big problem with Farseer Headhunter build still is scouting early on. Normally, you don't scout with a Peon early, you're going to do so with a Farseer, so indeed we see the Farseer here harassing, which I would say is favoring Lucy a bit already. We can see the Wolves easily taken out by the Fiends, and this Farseer hasn't achieved much at all so far.
Yeah, that might be all that Fly is really able to get done. Forced 1 coil out, he forced at least an early Nerubian out, but short of a really nice last hit with this Farseer, I doubt he's going to be able to get any sort of experience. Okay, 12 from that skeleton there. Coil for Lucy secures the Ogre. He's going to get a Ring of Protection to start things off. Second skeleton does go down to the creeps. First Headhunter is here, but really, Fly, I still feel, cannot get much done. He's getting some skeletons at least, though, I suppose.
Yeah, trying to snag the item, forcing some more coils is about the best that he indeed can do here. If he's sticking around for a long time, one would have to imagine that Lucy is going to get the better of him with the next Fiend coming out, the third Fiend. That makes a big difference, and here comes now the tech. I think this is the right choice. Not taking 1, 2, but rather 1, 3 Fiends. The level 2 here is going to make a big difference for Lucy. So I guess the goal for Fly is to prevent that leveling on the DK as much as he can, because if the DK is left to free up to his own wishes, and he gets level 3 with 5 Fiends, that would be a dangerous tier 2 power spec for the Undead.
Yeah, absolutely. With picking up that Dark Ranger, that could be terrifying. I suppose what Fly could try to do is just delay like he is until he has now the 5th Headhunter, and he could actually back up and creep his own shop, because the difficulty of playing against this Fast Fiend build order is that the Undead can so easily creep the first shop, wait till tier 2, pick up the Dark Ranger, then have map control to creep the second shop for 2 big consumables. So if Fly can somehow delay a little bit more and then head up to his own shop, he can at least deny one of those 2 consumables from Lucy.
Yeah, and I must say, this build order is working out a bit better for Fly than I thought it might. On other maps like Echo Isles, for example, level 2 for the Undead is always going to be guaranteed, because you're going to get the first green camp normally fully with the investment of coils, and then the little green one should also go towards you. But as we've seen on Last Refuge so many times, just getting that level 2 is really hard to achieve for any race if you're getting pressured heavily. And because Lucy doesn't have that level 2, doesn't have that aura, I actually like Fly's position quite a bit, especially because the tier 2 for him is so much faster. He's going to have the choice now to go TC for very strong late game, or to go for a Shadowhunter for more mid-game map control.
Yeah, with how Fly has been playing in the early game with the mass aggression, wouldn't be surprised to see that Shadowhunter, but no, it will be the consistent, strong approach from Fly. Going to be the Bestiary, going to be the Torn Chieftain, and eventually will be that tier 3 tech and Lucy. Now going to go for that shop that I was talking about, but Fly might have the opportunity to come over with a Chain Lightning and perhaps go for a last hit. That's at least going to be that aura unlocked for the Death Knight, but Fly is already on his way to level 3, got Illusions. A little bit of a pause, but both players not really under too much pressure with the creeping happening right now.
Lucy, I guess we haven't seen him too much recently. There have been big names, big undead names in the conversation for big tournament winnings. Those, of course, always are Happy and 1-0. Lucy, he seems to have been in the slump for a while. Thinking back to a few months ago, before my fateful injury, I felt like Lucy might be getting out of his hole, perhaps. But still, reaching that level that these other two have shown, Lucy doesn't seem quite to be in that spot. And he's always the guy, or not always, but oftentimes the guy who's trying to be a little bit cheesy, get away strategically, and not rely only on his mechanics. I think we saw that here as well. Not going for the standard ghoul build opening, but rather going for a fiend build, hoping that it works out well against the opponent, which it didn't really. Here comes a creep jack now, but Fly got the big item, and that's certainly worth one headhunter. Might be losing two here, though, depending if the aura is going to be good enough. We see now the effect of the unholy aura coming in, the additional movement speed, very good. And indeed, two headhunters are going down, and this is starting to feel a bit painful.
Yeah, not bad for Lucy there, but I think Fly is going to be happy with those two losses because he did get the flute, which is absolutely insane. Already +2 on those headhunters. Could be +3 or even +4 in the future. But Lucy, greater mana himself, going to be able to get quite close to level 3 on the Death Knight, but not quite. And the Torn Chieftain going to pull out the shop. Fly going to hope for probably his own greater mana, but most consumables from that shop can be good for the Orc side of things, because hero vulnerability does become a problem later on if you're in Fly's shoes. Tier 3 on the way, of course, for both players, but Fly a little bit ahead in that regard. Lucy going to get another ring, hopefully for his sake. No, it is a third ring.
Oh my god.
That is a tanky boy.
Shout out to my man WFZ, who was all too familiar with that feeling. Level 3 and 2 for Lucy. With Silence, he could creep the red camp pretty easy. That might be the next item on the docket. Early attack upgrade on the Headhunter. Was this before the tech? I didn't quite see it. This is something that Lin has started to do, right? With super early attack upgrades. And I feel like this should be the way to go for Orcs, especially on big maps where you can reliably go for the late game. As your Farseer and Heroes will be weaker later on, I think you have to really invest heavily in Headhunter upgrades. Get at least 3 upgrades, maybe even 4 upgrades, I would say, to compensate for your weaker Heroes late game.
Yeah, I think that's the upgrades are just so excellent. I think it's +5 damage or something for each one of those. So you end up with a net total +15. By the way, Khadgar, so Lucy, what he doesn't get in claws, he makes up for in mana items. Excellent, excellent, excellent item for that Dark Ranger, especially in the mid game here. And now Lucy going to steal away what Fly is stealing away. A statue caught out of position. Oh my god. So much is happening, and so many things are going right and wrong for both players at the same time.
Interesting position now. The statue pick is definitely a big deal. Oh, that was the first one. I thought perhaps it was the second. No, but it's the first. We're just going to limit. Oh, he pops Scroll the Beast. Perfect usage here, I think. And the book. He knows Destroyers soon are going to be ready, and then this is going to be a wasted item. And he takes out the Slaughterhouse. Wow. Oh my god. That is Statues and Destroyer delayed for such a long time. I'm not sure if he can win the game right now here, Fly, but with a beautiful Stomp, he might be able to win the fight and take a huge lead in this game. Oh my god, dude, the book and the Scroll of the Beast. Shout out to all my OCD friends in the chat, by the way, who are bothered that it wasn't in the right order. But still a great play. Berserker upgrade now finished. Shadowhunter coming out. And Fly takes a big lead here on map 1.
Insane. Yeah, the kill on the first statue into the Scroll of the Beast kill on the Slaughterhouse before the second statue comes out, before Destroyer form can be researched. And there's somehow just no lumber for Lucy either. He can't even afford his Lich currently. Now he can. Has he picked up the orb on another hero? No, he hasn't. Could maybe sell those heal wards as well. But Fly is really in the driver's seat to do whatever he wants. He could get a tiny Great Hall. He could creep just the remnants of the top left of the map, including that red camp. He can really do whatever he wants. And I don't feel there's much chance for Lucy to really have a comeback. He's just going to not have statues for such a long time.
Yo, theory craft time, Carson.
Yeah.
Upon killing the Slaughterhouse, could it have been good maybe for Fly to put down a Torrent Totem instantly for walkers?
I mean, he was already 50 supply when he killed it, so maybe, yeah, and then just immediately break into upkeep with that. It could be pretty strong. Maybe he even had the supply open at the time for one single walker, but honestly, Remo at this point, I think he could, go into Witch Doctors if he wanted.
I guess the lumber is a bit the issue here. Second attack upgrade coming in for Fly. It feels like the lumber is lower than normal. But anyways, Creepjack coming in, flying in a weird position. Half his army, not with the rest of the forces. One Berserker goes down right away. The Coda Beast still alive. Lots of bonus damage. These Berserkers with +8, dude, and this is gonna get even more. Coda Beast in real panic mode is gonna devour a creep. Fly getting caught a bit with his pants down here.
Heal Ward, at least, is kind of making up for the statues, and Khadgar is making up for the statues as well. So he almost kind of has a statue here, or at least for the time being. Shadowhunter now here with no skill yet, but it is Hex after all. Hex on the first Fiend, of course, no Destroyer for such a long time. Torn Chieftain silence for now,
God.
but push invulnerability could be a big one. Lands on 2 Fiends. And that's going to be even more kills. Might have to be a Town Portal now with this Death Knight being focused.
Well, those rings paying off finally. DK does struck that damage off. Has to use the TP to get out. 13 armor, not bad. Normally, I'm a big fan nowadays of going heal wave first, trying to limit the losses. But of course, in this case, in this game, when there's no destroyers yet, the Hex here is so strong. Hex, Stomp, and Snare. We see the power right there. And now with the TP having been used before, Lucia's gonna have to be very careful with how he moves out on the map.
Plus 12, by the way, from that red. Probably could be sold. If not, can be put on the Shadowhunter later. Potion of Vulnerability. And Heal Scroll purchased. Lucy just happy to be able to creep whatever he can. Any camp is a gift at this point. He's got his Lich with Orb now, going to go for that bottom right corner. But of course, Fly is going to end up massively ahead in experience, almost on his way to level 3 Shadowhunter now with also Boots of Quel'The Loss. Could be a lot of plus damage on that Shadow, actually, with those plus 12 and that Quel'The Loss and maybe an Orb in the future.
Are you a fan of the Orb?
I like it. I think it's pretty good because your Raiders tend to die right away. At least if you're me, they tend to die right away. And then at least you have some way of securing Destroyer kills with it, which is kind of nice.
I myself, not the biggest fan. I feel like it's so cost inefficient if you don't have a Blade Master. Like, it's a good item, but it's 375, you know? I feel like
True.
2 Berserkers always better, or 1.5 upgrades. But, well, maybe depends on how much bank you have. Gathered there. Shadowhunter now gonna get level 3. Huge level up there. TC close to 4, and this is where this Orc army really comes into its own. In Warcraft 3, I think it's always an interesting dynamic. Like, when you look at 2 armies, standard armies, let's say, in a matchup, there's normally points of advantages and disadvantages depending on how big the army sizes are. And in this matchup, I would say the more we move beyond 60 supply, the better it is for Orc, just because of the effect of Stomp and the focus fire potential and Berserk and all that from Berserkers. Is that something you would see similarly, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that the smaller the armies become, probably the better it is for Undead in general, just because of how Dark Ranger works and how statues tend to survive if they're microed correctly. Whereas for Orc, like, if anything is mispositioned as the Undead against an Orc that has this amount of supply and +8 on the Berserkers currently, if there's one big Stomp, you're going to lose half your Fiends. If a hero's out of position, it's going to just die to Stomp and Hex. So yeah, I agree. The bigger the armies are, the just way more difficult it could become for the Undeads. Whereas the smaller the armies become, the more Undeads can sort of abuse the skeletons, the statues, and their heroes.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And I love the Wyvern now being added in as well. It's a huge ground army for Fly. It's going to start blocking itself soon, so adding in a few air units. I like it. 3 Raiders is what he has available here. That also looks like a good number. TC now level 4. We got the upgraded Aura. We got 2-1 upgrades, 3-1 on the way. This is about as good of an Orc army as you can hope to find. Last Refuge, always a map with tons of creeps. So not too surprising here to see this super late game, the end game stages. Lucy's trying to push, maybe just to poke. He's got a TP to get out, because at the moment his army does not seem to be up to the task.
Yeah, he is banking, though, which I think is probably the right choice, because Fly broke upkeep a long, long time ago, and Lucy is going to need a ton of gold to be able to catch up, just because of the amount of units that he's lost. He should just TP out eventually and snare on the skeleton. All right, Fly. And Fly seems very timid, despite 18 supply advantage. Even in an even supply fight, I would give Fly the edge here. But he's going to let Lucy escape.
Third attack upgrade. It's coming.
Oh,
Sweet
man, so
baby.
much damage.
Jesus. How much damage is this going to be? Where's the Kodo?
And with the True Shot as well, it's going to be +9 or +10, so 52 maximum.
I remember on the old patch, I once saw a game on Turtle Rock where I think it was also Fly playing Berserkers, right? And that was when Kodo aura and Red Camp aura would stack, right? So you had that aura from the red, you had the Kodo level 2 aura, and you had the flute. So you had plus 40% damage on his Berserkers. That was a fun game. Plus 10 right now on these Berserkers, not quite plus 40. Look at that stomp. Oh my god. This fight is already over. That stomp means the fight is over.
No way. Focus fire on the Torn Chieftain has a push of invulnerability. There's the TP, but just so many units die. Okay, Torn Chieftain does live to tell the tale of the scary spider boys, but boy, he got what? A statue, 2 fiends in pretty much the time of 1 stomp. And Fly again in a fantastic position. Securing his expansion now with a shop there first and probably a tiny to follow.
Yeah, I think Lucy is not quite playing this matchup right. He's trying to rely on the ultra late game. I feel like there's something that also Happy took a while to realize. Against Night Elf, you're going to be favored in the ultra late game, normally. Against Human, you're going to be favored in the ultra late game, normally. But in this matchup, I think you want to be more active. You want to be more scrappy. You want to be in the Orc's face. And this is also where nowadays the Ghoul build fits so well. You're running in with Ghouls. They're super fast. The TC gets silenced. If he doesn't have the positioning and invuln down perfectly, the Ghouls are going to ravage the backline. It feels to me like when you play against this Fiend army, it's also so much easier to just control these fights for the Orc. You're going to have the TC in the right position always, because you don't have to choose between heroes and Ghouls, really, because everything is kind of stacked up. It's very clear front lines. And yeah, this playstyle, this strat here for Lucy does seem a bit outdated, I want to say, and Fly still has the huge lead here.
Yeah, we'll see in map 2 if he changes it up. Maybe goes with the more standard Ghoul play, but for now, 62 against 70 supplies. Still chances for perhaps a hero kill, but Lucy has no town portal, no way out of this fight, and of course, even if he did run away, there'd be a tiny Great Hall Dark Ranger, at least tanking in the front. Frost Armor and Coil makes that a really, really strong tank at the beginning. The Abomination, huge stomp yet again, a Potion of Vulnerability. Kodo gets it devoured. This next stomp, Remo Demo, this next stomp is going to be huge.
My God.
It is again. Dear Lord, the amount of damage.
And that is why, in my hero tier list, TC is the strongest hero in the game. Look at those stomps, baby! Might be in trouble now. He might be actually falling to the Coil Nova. Heat Wave a bit too late. The TC does indeed die. Level 4 hero hitting the deck. That's painful. But the fight is over. The fight is won.
Wind Rider finally went down. Shadowhunter level 4 now. Still has a heal scroll, by the way. Could have maybe used that to save the TC, but it, of course, doesn't matter. 3 heroes and 1 fiend against 60 supply and a level 5 Farseer to boot. And the Death Knight is soon to die. Nice Raider micro. DK down, and this is going to be 1-0 for Fly in pretty dominant fashion, I'd have to say.
Damn! What an opener to the W3Champions Season 11 Finals. That was a nice one. Lucy, decent start. But then this Slaughterhouse play. Ay. Losing the statue and the Slaughterhouse being thrown back, I don't know, 3 minutes? 4 minutes? That was brutal. Super hard to come back from. Fly with the 1-0. He's a good gamer. Super cool to see him here, while many of the elder gods decline invitations. Not the case for Fly. He's showing up, and he's showing up strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing this matchup in his modern style. Early upgrades, rely on the late game, big map, makes sense, and then try to avoid fights if you can. Lucy, too passive, too slow of an opening. This is not how you can play Undead anymore against Orc. You have to be more proactive, you have to look for more fights, be more scrappy, and make use of those statues. Like, if you're in these scrappy fights, more and more ghouls running in, I think Carson hit the nail on the head. The lower the supply is, the better the Undead normally tends to be there in the late game, because the heroes are so strong and the statues are so strong. Because even with low supply, their impact is felt heavily, whereas with Berserkers, it's the other way around. The more of them you have, the more terrifying it's going to be, especially combined with the AoE aspect of Stomp.
There's already more analysis.
I wonder.
Oh, sorry?
I was just going to ask, does he change it up now, do you think? Like, does he go ghouls now? Or does he think that it's too hard? I mean, I personally think it's too hard to play ghouls, but if you're not 1-0 or happy. But yeah, I think he's got it.
Yeah, this was already more analysis than in all my solo casts of the last 6 weeks combined. So, what do I know? What do I know? The ghoul play seems rather strong, but yeah, you gotta You gotta be a guy for that. You gotta have the micro for that. Is that the case for Lucy? We'll see. What is our second map, Mr. Remo Demo, Master of Ceremonies?
It is Amazonia for our second map.
Right.
Our third one would be Tide Hunters, should we get there. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I'm not sure we're going to get there, boys. By the way, I'm supposed to wave and say hello to X-Lord. Hello, Poppy. How you doing?
Poppy. Ooh.
Nobody cares, bro. Here's map number 2. It's match points for Fly, of course. Could eliminate Lucy right here and could go into a Chinese derby for the round of 8 as the winner of this best of 3 faces Colorful in the deciding round. So you want to continue, boys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Have fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Neo. Thank you. All right. Fly.
Much appreciated, Neo. Much appreciated.
Gotta miss double and triple cast.
Yeah. It's always pure chaos here at the W3 Champions Finals, everybody. Wait, this is kind of a different build order. And then, of course, Lucy in the bottom left. Now going for ghouls, I think. We'll soon find out. But yeah, he very much, I think, delayed the war mill there. I didn't quite catch the very, very beginning of the game. But sometimes, of course, if you delay your barracks and your war mill, you can get a little bit more lumber just because you're not building for a little bit. So you get a slightly faster tech. I think Fly might have done that, but I could have caught that incorrectly.
Yeah, we see the Ghoul build here by Lucy. Seems like, especially on Last Refuge, he wasn't a big fan. And it's not the best map for a Ghoul build because you can't creep level 3 too easily. Amazonia, as much as I hate the map, is absolutely wonderful for normal damage creeping. There's so many medium armor creeps around. Not just the first 2 cans, which give you level 2 right away, but also the kobolds and the trolls in the middle, and maybe even the renegade to be sniped in the corners, although that is an unreliable play. But yeah, especially the first 2 camps, so beneficial to go for. You have to play ghouls. And that's the reason why we see Peon Scout here by Fly. Very rare, sacrificing a lot of lumber for this, but feeling that it's worth it, trying to prevent the lightning shield. Can't prevent it though. And that should mean a decent start for Lucy.
Lightning shield on the ghoul, that is weird, but he does secure the renegade. One ghoul getting quite low. Peon finally goes down, I think actually to the lightning shield. Farseer comes in, now the harass begins, and this harass, much more warranted, much more recommended probably from both of us than against the Fast Fiends of last game.
And the goal here being trying to delay lumber economy. Finding a kill here is very unlikely, but also draining mana out of the DK, extremely important. When the DK reaches level 2, gets the aura, you don't want to be at risk of losing a lot of headhunters thanks to coil. And especially if he gets level 3, the DK becomes very, very dangerous with those level 2 coils. So, primary objective here, slow down the tech and drain mana out of the DK. And if you get some last hits as well, that's a nice bit of icing on the cake.
Absolutely. What we see Happy tend to do in this position is just hard commit for that level 2. Get that aura at all costs, even if it's a lot of Death Knight health. But Lucy already getting to that range where it's kind of spooky for him. He's got 1 coil left and 100 HP. He's going to secure that kill, but at the loss of a ghoul. Does get aura, but already Fly has done so much damage. And you mentioned the lumber. The tech is delayed quite a bit. He's got enough lumber now, but Fly, I imagine, yeah, already almost 50% done his tech.
Yeah, good opening here by Fly. This Peon Scout, I don't know who invented it, but works out very well. These seconds you can buy here early on, a really big deal. How painful is it for the Orc, by the way, to invest this Peon Scout, tech-wise, resource-wise?
Honestly, I do it every game, regardless of Farseer, Headhunters, or Blade Master, just to see if it's Crypt Lord or not. But or to see if it's, for instance, a Fast Fiend build, so then I can creep. So I'm kind of used to it. And I'm pretty sure Fly did a 1 burrow tech as well. So it's not really that bad, especially if you can delay the tech like Fly did against the Ghoul build.
I guess the view is nowadays by Orcs, you don't really have to scout, maybe, because if they play anything other than a Ghoul build, you're going to be in a decent spot anyways.
Yeah.
And if they do play the Ghoul build, like we see here, you're gonna be ready for that with your opening. Maybe that's the line of thinking. Anyways, we meet in the middle, and these Kobold camps are very rewarding. Both would love to grab them for themselves, and the race to level 3 is on.
And Lucy, of course, if he can secure a full camp, he'll be level 3 just on time. Well, maybe.
The borrow. Fly forgot the borrow.
Ooh.
Oh, baby. That's a big blunder.
That's a huge mistake. He's going to be able to get level 3 Farseer, I suppose,
He didn't
but...
pick up the item. He left the gloves. The Farseer yoinked it. Lucy close now to level 3, but all the mana has been drained. This is important. And level 3. I was about to say not too easy to acquire, but I guess either the green or the cobalt, or I mean the troll camp, should do it for him. So level 3 is going to be reached, but the DK isn't level, doesn't have mana, so it's not that painful for Fly. But yeah, that hero being delayed, man, that hurts. That's when the hero is so late, you almost want to think about a tavern hero, but this is ORC. We don't play tavern heroes here.
And it's tough if you're in a position like Fly, and at this stage, you tend to just... all you want to do is creep. Especially when the Lich comes out and the Death Knight is harassing you as the Orc player, you just want to creep. So do you take all the camps on your Farseer and leave your Torn Chieftain with nothing? Or do you sort of wait around idly? Do you harass yourself? It's difficult to know what to do when your hero has been delayed by, 60 seconds, I think, at this stage for Fly.
Chain Lightning was about to be ready there for the pickoff, but the coil saves it. But yeah, every coil here matters. This is why applying pressure early on is so important. Drain the mana out of the DK, slow down his leveling. You remember when the Ghoul build first came around and the Orcs were still playing passive and were just creeping themselves, and then the DK level 3 would show up with a Lich and they would lose like 6 headhunters? That's why you have to be aggressive. You can't just leave him to creep for free. Oh, gets surrounded.
Fly just AFK'd his Farseer there. That was actually the freest surround of Lucy's life, but Fly was doing something at home. I guess he was trying to micro his Torn Chief. No, he's building a burrow. So now he's forced into the TP, and Lucy going to get a potential nice item here from the top left.
So far, I wasn't blessed with too many gray ones with the double cloak. And the rune bracers, wow. And all the rings on map 1. I mean, he got the Cadgars, to be fair. But all in all, not the best items, especially Lich items. Like, normally you really want to boost that damage as much as you can. Again, to be really strong and scrappy and long engaged fights where the heroes carry so much of the weight. Lucy picks up a mana potion. All right, this is where Lucy can start to put something on the gas. Come in with Kolnoa, harassed, take out some headhunters, and well, he's got quite a few of those.
Already in-snare ready, though, so it's going to make it a lot more difficult, especially if that TC had Stomp. He could probably almost force that TP right away, but... all right, 2 kills. Not bad. 1 more coil available. Can probably secure himself at least 1 more headhunter kill. Certainly 1 more headhunter kill, so yeah, not too bad at all. Of course, I think Lucy's lost more than 3 ghouls so far this game. Cloak passed.
Oh, wow. Oh, but the sentry. Oh, I know that feeling. It's not good.
Yeah.
When you feel like you didn't account for... your opponent didn't account for invis, and then they just found the item, luckily. But nice transfer. Lich that way survives barely. But that's TP gone again for almost ever, or at least for a long time. And Hex Stomp and Snare always going to be a danger. I feel like Fly was a bit over-aggressive. If he had had his TC earlier and have been level 2, then this aggressive positioning on the map might have been warranted. But losing 3 headhunters did hurt him there.
And this is a opportunity for Lucy to maybe have a timing. I know he's taken some losses, but of course the Torn Chieftain for Fly needs to be level 3 before he can really win a fight at even supply. Whereas Lucy maybe doesn't necessarily need level 3 Lich. So if he gets Destroyer form, gets his 3rd hero, gets his orb, and then pushes before the TC is level 3, Lucy could have a better chance at least than he did last game for the first big fight.
3rd hero Shadow gonna join. And this map, by the way, also doesn't have that many creeps. Normally, I always feel nowadays in this matchup, the bigger the map, the more creeps there are, the better for the Orc. Because you want to have a long game, you want to have really high level heroes and big armies and avoid fights. If you can. Lucy is going to play the Frenzy Ghoul style this time around. Positioning there is going to be crucial. You want to ideally silence the TC, run past him with the ghouls, and hit the vulnerable berserkers in the back. So invul timing there is going to be crucial to hit that stomp. Ideally level 2 stomp. Shadowhunter comes out, engages the creeps. Would love to see Heal Wave here. Actually.
Yeah. Statue has to be careful. The expansion camp gets pulled. That means slow. That means boulders. But the Torn Chieftain is currently creeping with the Shadowhunter. So it's just a Farseer here. Frenzy's online. Second statue is a welcome sight for Lucy. He didn't see that for, what, till the 15-minute mark in game number 1. Looking for a greater mana. Already has 1 mana pot. Does get the greater mana. Chain Lightning. Gonna kill a ghoul there. Nuke now on the Farseer. And the Torn Chieftain still level 2, but one of these trappers will make up for that, and there he is with double potion of vulnerability to boot.
Lucy thinking about engaging here. How many ghouls does he have? He could be bringing more ghouls from the main.
Yeah.
Waiting for the Destroyer form upgrade, though, I guess. These fights are very explosive. Especially spell usage here is so important. Land the Silence, land the Stomp. And, of course, the Coils and the Novas as well. And positioning in the fights. And positioning in general is going to be important, so Lucy doesn't want to get caught between his opponent and the creeps. Fly eager now to take a fight. Ensnare starts off the fight, going for the TC right away, but he's very protected. Lands the perfect Stomp, and when you start the fight like that, it's not a good omen for the Undead.
And there's no Black Arrow yet, so not really late fight scaling for Lucy as he's about to lose that Dark Ranger. No, Coil lands perfectly on time, but all the ghouls are about to be traded off. There is Ensnare off cooldown now, perhaps on one of those last remaining statues. Nope, lands on actually a ghoul. The wolves in the front. No Destroyer up in the air to deal with them, but it's 53 against 43 currently. Torn Chieftain, though, seems to be the weak link for once in this fight.
It reminds me of our fun game evenings. And who is the weakest link? Dung dung dung.
Classic.
Shout out to Scription, who always wins the weakest link somehow. TC, very low HP. Fly doesn't have any more salves available. Otherwise, he could be sticking around here for longer. Still has that Scroll of Healing available. And an Invoke Potion on the Farseer. This one perhaps should be given over. This fight certainly went towards the Orc player. Still an upkeep. Low upkeep. Lucy at least is going to get the camp here in the corner. Needs some items to strengthen his heroes. He needs like a Zoe Mask or a Robe of the Magi. He needs to be able to rely on his heroes.
Or level 2 is quite nice. Dark Ranger level 2 would be great as well. Bootscraft Lost, that would help once the Dark Ranger gets that Black Arrow as well. 48 against 55. Lucy's certainly going to be running away. Fly probably going to look for a red camp. Maybe Lucy could potentially do the same. But Fly might actually have the damage to creep his red and run straight over to the next one.
Yeah, that is certainly a downside of playing ghouls on this map. Very tough to take out these red camp granite golems.
A player's forces are under attack.
Second Ensnare, perhaps a bit late. Oh, the sheep helps out. That's very nice. Big item for Fly. Big experience getting closer to level 3 Shadow. That's the most valuable level up here. Hood of Cunning is alrighty, but not one of the big ones. Lucy. Seems like he needs a strong item here to stay competitive in this game. Fly, what's his upgrade saying? 1-1 only so far, so he doesn't have that crazy punch late game on the Berserkers yet with only 1 attack upgrade.
And Lucy might have just barely enough time. Oh, no, he doesn't. Fly gets the creep jack before the Granite Golem goes down. Both statues ensnared. The Raven gets duped.
He's charging in.
No.
Look at that. Berserker activated. He doesn't give a damn. Just take out the statues right away. And those are the strongest units in the game. And now they're both taken out. The silence is going to be over in just a second. Here comes the Stomp. It's a decent one. Not a fight-winning one. But he's going for the Lich. There was a Hex as well on the DK. There's no Destroyers in the air because there's no statues. Makes it so easy for Fly to take this fight. DK now in trouble. Might be dead. One more Hex and he's definitely gone. Even without it, he says goodbye. Sayonara. And we have to say farewell to Lucy in this journey.
GG for Fly, the WCG winner of 2020, moves on to the round of 12, where he will meet Colorful. Lucy, definitely a better approach on map 2, but not enough for Fly when he's in shape.
No. Yeah, that was pretty dominant from Fly, showing us how it's done against 2 different styles of the Undead. The Harass was on point. The mid-game creeping was on point, and the fights were dominant as ever. That's really where Fly always has shined, has been his engagements and just his no fear whatsoever, as we saw in that very last fight. Just dove right in for the statues, and that's how you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah, classic Fly for sure. Cool to see him still doing so good and showing up here at the W3Champions finals. Up against Colorful now. That's gonna be a different task. Remo, I don't know if you listened to a lot of casts while you were in the hospital. But
Not exactly.
But I don't want to say it. I'm standing Colorful a little bit recently.
Is Colorful a really strong player? And he doesn't have to work on that many things anymore?
Colorful is a very strong player if he's having a good day. So I would say Colorful is a little bit the favorite.
You don't say, Neo. You don't say. You know,
Yeah.
there's some people who thought that for a while.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm giving it to you. You know, as a little bit of a welcome back gift, I'm handing the right to be right to you. The bragging
you're
right.
welcome. You're welcome, Diva.
Oh, I'm welcome.
Well, not everywhere, but hey. We got a lot of supporters here. Thank you guys very much. Burrow Rush with the 100 bits. Tauren Beefton, Danny Stank with the Prime, Darkness, 39 month, Hots X-Ray, 10-month resub, Tonestone, Remo and Carson were muted. That's right. Oh no, he said the band is back together. That's also true. An Average Mo, thank you for the sub. Scrub King Krat also with the sub. So many subs. We thank you all, and you are contributing like crazy to the War3 Champions prize pool. 1,172. The profile pictures up for grabs, and you buy them like there's no tomorrow. Also $20 coming in from Kerubik. Is there more? $3 by Forks. Shout out to our Brazilian caster. But of course, 1,172. That's not enough. We got legends of this game in this tournament. We got the Flies, we got the Moons, we got the Happies, we got the Law Lions. Raise the prize pool for these people. And I think it's time for my favorite segment of all the War3 Champions final casts to tell the people why War3 Champions is so grandiose. So, Carson, Remo, I hope you enjoyed this little break. This is me going solo now. There we go. Because War3 Champions is delivering everything that Battle.net is still not delivering. They got a PTR where they try to, you know, mimic War3 Champions features a little bit, but ain't good enough. We got the profiles already. We got the rankings already. We got all the leagues and the ladders that Blizzard is promising for weeks. We got that for years. And in a way better fashion than Blizzard could ever deliver. All you have to do is to go to war3champions.com, download a client, install it real easy, and then join the fun, join the ranks. There was just a letter reset this week, actually, with a new map pool. We brought an updated Secret Valley back. We brought Lost Temple back. We got totally newly created maps like a Rusty Creek or a Springtime. And a lot of stats, of course, and all new AI is featured there as well. War3 Champions, the best server in the history of this world. And now we go into a little break and set everything up for Colorful versus Fly. Give you a little bit of time to chip into the prize pool, or, you know, reward us a little bit for running this tournament and doing the stream, or just refill your beverages, like Holy Energy, for example. See you in a bit!